YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back in a Rome 2 online battle that I played with a friend from Blade Balance Buddies. Want to talk about something real quick though. So Blade Master and the other folks that are in with this mod didn't agree with my suggestions about Carthage. This is fine, it's his mod, I'm not going to make him change it. But I want to make some suggestions and point a few things out. First of all, I beg the question. I'm not saying Carthage in the right hands can't be good. And I'm not saying that the point of Blade's Balance mod is to make all factions, like, on equal footing. Because then it would just be weird, you know, if you had RDA that can easily just go toe-to-toe with Rome and all that other kind of stuff. I get it. Really, it seems like he's shooting for each faction having a flavor, and I think a lot of factions get that. But in my opinion, Carthage got some definite boost that Blade Master gave them, like the improvement of Campanian Cavalry could potentially be helpful, but the price on these guys is still massive. Not to say they can't be used, they can. The biggest problem I have with Carthage still is that in their skirmisher department, it's either expensive or nothing, which forces you into a rush scenario, and your really only offensive weapon still is in the African elephants for all intents and purpose. Campanian Cav cost almost as much, and it may or may not get you as many kills as easily. So I don't know. And then now the Numidian Cav, he's given them a ton of ammunition, and I like this. But again, you got a lot of factions out there with horse archers and other stuff that will just easily nullify these guys. And again, massive spend that you have to go in to get them. Not saying they can't be dangerous. And then here with the noble cavalry, there's really nothing noble about them. Their stats are still worse than any comparable shot cavalry. They do get trample because they're in a higher one, but I mean, even with trample, I don't know how well these guys do. Just very expensive. And so that's kind of my point with Carthage, is that everything they can do, almost every other faction can do for less money. And so that's my frustration with them still in the Blades Balance mod. That, and, you know, obviously I wish I could micro my armies a little better. But still, I mean, like, so Mercenary Noble Fighters, they have Shield Wall now. Great. That makes them a lot better for sure, but they still come with a heck of a lot, I think, less block chance and armor than like an Oathsworn, and they cost the same, and you're limited to 2 of them in the army. So like I said, basically anything the other factions can do, Carthage does it, but more expensive. And then also in the cavalry department, I'm still a little bit frustrated here too. I mean, tell me how in the world, and I think this was this way in vanilla, tell me how in the world Dacian Spear Horsemen cost 550 and are heavy melee cavalry, and Carthaginian cavalry, which was renowned for being heavy melee cavalry that consistently trashed the Romans, and this is historical at this point. I'm not saying everything has to be historical, I'm just making a reference. The Carthaginian cavalry consistently crapped on the Romans, and they're only medium, whereas I can go over here to Rome, and I can pick out Rome, and Rome already comes with all of this unbeatable infantry, which is fine. But then you get the benefit of coming down here and picking up Soki Equites for very cheap, that are heavy melee cavalry that will essentially hold the line easily against the Carthaginian Cav. And it's just, this kind of stuff frustrates me with Carthage. I get it. So like Rome only has expensive skirmishers. This is good because their infantry is extraordinarily cost effective. On the other hand, Carthaginian infantry is not extraordinarily cost effective. None of their hoplites are really stand out at anything particular. I mean, they're okay for what you get, but again, they're not an offensive weapon, and they're not even that great of a defensive weapon. So I would argue, and again, I'm not going to make him change his mod, but this is why I made those suggestions to him, is that I feel like a couple of things would still need to be done to make Carthage, I mean, they are pretty bad in Blades Balance mod. I know he did some things that help him, but again, I mean, Campanian Cav are so expensive. I mean, someone can bring 4 units if you bring 2 of these. Four like cheaper units, or even 5. Again, they can be shot by missiles. I'm not trying to say they're always worthless. I know that someone could say, oh, I'll send you a video where I get a ton of kills with these guys. I get it. That happens from time to time. I'm just saying in general terms, I would like to see the Carthaginian Cav be made to be heavy cavalry. Scutari can say on the medium, because it's kind of a lighter Celtiberian Cav. African pikemen, they were kind of talking these guys up like they're good. They cost 700 talents, and they get the crap shot out of them by skirmishers, because you can never afford to bring many of these guys. So if I'm bringing 700 talent pikemen and then these guys, I mean, it's just going to really cripple your army. So I beg to differ that Carthage is really that good in Blade's balance. It's not my mod though, and I'm not asking Blade to change. I'm just just making a point here. Let's take a look at a replay. So this was me playing against Johan, and he's a good player too. So it's going to be hard enough for me as it is. But I insist on taking Carthage. He's going to take Getae, and I like the build he has here. It's extremely cost efficient, and again, cost efficient is something that's challenging for Carthage. So I had to bring a couple of pikes, I feel like, in the middle, just to keep him from just straight charging me with the noble swords and crushing my center. I have elephants. I mean, so again, you're forced with Carthage to do one of a couple of things. Your guys will lose in prolonged combat against noble swords badly. So you are forced to build your entire army around it. I could have tried to bring some noble fighters, but again, the fact that Getae can bring a ton of units for cheap, whereas almost all of my units are fairly expensive in terms of pound per pound what they can do, makes it tricky. And then again, you can see that Getae have access to cheaper bowmen. They've got the Dacian heavy bowmen, which are cheaper than Cretans, and they're going to trade fire very well because they're in higher numbers. And he can still afford to bring skirmishers to support the flanks. Got some Falksmen and some mercenary axes up the center. His center is quite weak, and he's just loading the flank with a noble sword so that he can crush in. And then he's got a noble horseman, which again, I like his build. A lot of cost efficiency here, a lot of skirmish power, and it's going to give Carthage fits because Carthage is going to rely on Campanians or elephants, like so, and so he brings all the things that both those units hate. A giant skirmish line. And how can Carthage really match this? The answer is they can't. And so for cheaper, he gets to bring the Spear Horseman, which, yes, has less attack, but with that heavy mass, it's going to throw a lot of weight around against my medium cavalry. So anyway, let's see how it goes down. I can't just sit back and let him kill my pikes, because again, this is the Achilles heel of pikes, is that people were just going to shoot them, so I do have to move them forward to bait so that I can start opening fire. But because he has 4 heavy bowmen to my 3 Cretans, I'm going to lose. But I can at least kill as many of his archers as I can, and I'm going to kind of scoot up some hoplites here to try and interrupt charges that are incoming, though I probably don't know why I would need to be worried about charges from Axe Warriors. I think I was more worried that his heavy melee cav punches through and hits my Libyan infantry in the charge. Again, something that Dacians can do better than Carthage quite easily, because their 550 talent cav gets rated as heavy, and Carthaginian cavalry, which was historically heavy, is a lighter medium cav in the game. And again, I'm not saying a whole game has to be historically accurate. I'm not going to that extent. Just, again, a few frustrations that I've always had with Carthage, even before the Blade balance mod, is that for some reason Carthage and Macedon and some of the other factions in Rome 2 have just kind of always been crap. Now, I think Macedon has gotten a lot better, obviously, in the balance mod, and we've seen them used a couple of times to pretty decent effect. So out here, I'm going to engage the Dacian heavy skirmishers. It almost looks like my guys might be losing to the Dacian heavy skirmishers. I think they are, actually. Yeah, so over here, though, I'm gonna engage his Spear Horsemen. So again, see, my Scutari cav got the charge, but the heavy horsemen are going to do well. I interrupt his noble swords here. With the medium cavalry, it's not going to do much, but it will keep his noble swords from getting the charge. See, like that didn't kill a single swordsman on the charge because the low mass of the Scutari. But it did break the charge, and I'm going to have to try and just gang the elephants up over here. I've got to do something with the elephants. There's too many archers in the center for me to use them effectively there. And so I'm just going to go ahead and plow the elephants in over here, but unfortunately all these skirmishers that I can't shut down fast enough, see the Dacian heavy bows and everybody moving over here, I'm trying to shoot them. And if I don't take action soon, the noble swords are just going to tank my whole army. And elephants are going to run amok immediately, because that was a heavy skirmisher, not a bowman. So that makes sense that the elephants ran amok immediately, because javelins do that. Now fortunately my elephants are going to berserk right into the back of his noble swords and get me a lot of kills, but also, unfortunately, they're killing a lot of my own men because they're berserk. Over here, I mean, this fight goes okay-ish for me. We do manage to kill the Spear Horseman here at huge cost to the Scutari cav. But we did. And he's going to bring his noble horseman in over here. He's got Battle Rhythm fired up. So, yeah, his bows are killing me. I win the infantry engagements against the axemen as expected. I'm going to interrupt his noble sword again here and try and keep my Libyan infantry from getting charged by it. And I think that I accomplished that for the most part. Now I'm going to bring my my sword back in. This is your only chance to try and beat these noble swords, and it's still not going to go well because Libyan infantry are heavily outmatched by a unit like noble swords. Again, you have to use heavy units like the elephants to do all your killing as Carthage, and I've gotten a decent number of kills, but I just can't get all the bows off me. And now the numeric advantage with my pikes not being here in the center, his cavalry has gotten around the edges. Again, his units on the flanks were too difficult for me to try and maintain. The Libyan hoplites did not match well against them. So now I can't keep my skirmishers focused, but my general is going to go back here and shut down the heavy bowmen temporarily. These guys had their backs turned, and I didn't realize it. I should have stayed here in combat with those heavy bowmen. And I'm trying to get my elephants over here. He's got another stupid heavy skirmisher unit over here that drives my elephants insane. Probably should have, in retrospect, come back this way and then just tried to take out the skirmishers. Saving these elephants for the later game here would have obviously been very handy. But still tricky because I'm running low on cavalry. But yeah, with them berserking around like this heavy skirmisher is going to be able to do a considerable amount of damage. So they're going to bring down 2 more elephants. I got a decent number of kills, but not enough that it's going to sway the battle. So a few mistakes in the way I handled these guys. But yeah, not able to pull off the victory this time. Johan plays a nice game, and he had a nice build here too. Like I said, these cavalry lasting to late game too is going to shut down my Cretans because I can no longer protect them. So I don't know exactly the best way for me to handle this. His flanks were overloaded, so if I sat still in the center, I was going to end up getting out skirmished. If I charged, I'm going to have to send my better units against his. So my hoplites lose to his axemen in the center, or they lose on the flank. And so that's going to be a problem again for Carthage there. I just didn't have the right units. I guess instead of the hoplites up against Dacia, maybe it would have been smarter to bring like the Celtic warriors or something, because they would have matched more favorably against axemen, which are an obvious pick for the Dacians. So I think that probably would have been a better choice for me in terms of army selection, because the hoplites again couldn't hold on the flanks and they couldn't go in the center. If I would have been able to hold better in the center with maybe some Celtic warriors or something, I could have transferred some of my better units over to the flanks. He says he wants to play a 1v1. I'm gonna say can't right now. I am busy trashing Carthage and BB. Oh, jeez. I'm sure he'll like that. He's going to tell me again that they're good. No, I understand what they're saying when they're trying to say Carthage is good. I don't know. I just still see them as being extremely inferior faction in most scenarios. I would not want to take them against an Eastern faction. I would not want to take them versus Rome. And there's a lot of other factions I wouldn't want to take them against in the balance mod. So anyway, that's going to be the end of it. Johan's going to take it. My general's going in for a glory charge here. But he's going to rout, I think, before he ends up dying. Hope y'all enjoyed the battle. It was fun. Had a good time playing with Johan. He's a big fan of Swaby. Said he was going to send me some Swaby replays that he wanted you all to look at, where he has kind of some different strategy that I guess he wanted me to take a look at. Yeah, again, nice Dacian build here. Let's take a look at, I mean, his axemen still did fairly well, considering what they were matched up against. A couple of them got beat down pretty bad, and his falxmen picked up a lot of kills out on the flanks too, probably because they were around some cavalry and hoplites, and they do, again, very well in that scenario. They do cost a little more than the Libyan hoplites I brought, but on the charge, they will absolutely crush them, and they have a bonus versus large. The big advantage the Libyan hoplites would have is that they have more armor, and they have a better block chance, but otherwise the falxmen there are going to be a little bit better versus infantry at the cost of pretty much no armor, so they can't tank out much damage. His cavalry didn't get a ton of kills, but you know, obviously these two units surviving to late game, and plus this one. Nice job with the noble horsemen there, though. Let's see, on my side, my Libyans, again, this is a problem. Like, Libyans are tough to kind of get them to perform, and pikes just get shot while trying to get somewhere. I'm surprised I got that many kills on them. This one mercenary Scutari did okay, but looks like my cavalry ended up in bad situations. My general got more kills than most of them, and my African elephants. So anyway, and my Cretans, one of them, I guess, got a decent number of kills here before it died, but nothing too big. Hope y'all enjoyed this one. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I'll be back with more Rome 2 in the future.